Israel, put your hope in Yahweh, who makes wars.
Excuse me. Good morning, everyone. Chris Wilson with Toil and Messiah YouTube channel, and might be a little bit of background noise. And today I'm off to work and slept in a little longer. It's 6:35 a.m. So I'm taking you with me on the road. But it is Friday. That was my fuel light. Hope y'all are having a blessed day this morning, and just wanted to bring another morning devotional. And just wanted to give a little glimpse into the previous three. This one is morning devotional number 4. Today is June 28th, and we're closing this month out here with the last Shabbat of June. And the previous devotionals, you're getting a first-hand glimpse into my personal life, and I'm just being completely transparent because I'm just sharing with you things that either I struggle with, or I have struggled with, or things that I still encounter on a daily basis. Just because that I'm coming to you on this YouTube channel, we're so quick to judge a book by its cover, and don't think for one moment that I seem to have it all together. I am human. I am going to make mistakes. I'm not perfect, and I'm not exempt from any of the scriptures that I read to you guys, as I try to be relatable to you, because I have my fair share of daily battles and personal struggles too. Frustration, irritability, quick-tempered, impatience, generosity, lovingness. We're human. We live in a day and age where I'm a driver, drive a dump truck for a living, and people don't like to yield to dump trucks very often. And, it can cause for a stressful day if you allow it. So that's the thing, is choosing to react and how to respond. How do you react to certain things? This was a hard one for me to conquer, and probably something I'll deal with on a day-to-day basis with, having children and unbelieving in-laws and co-workers, and just being out in the world as an ambassador for Yahweh in a world where you're going to be in a place where you're in the midst of unbelievers and people of the nations. And how do we conduct our behavior? How do we conduct our demeanor and attitude? Are we hypocritical and two-faced in the presence of these non-believers because they don't believe, and therefore we can be ourselves? No, man, we should always be on the front for Yahweh, to be an ambassador and a representation of His image in this world, so people can see that light that is in you and I. And so, I don't know, I wanted to talk about patience this morning, because we live in a time today where our culture is a I must have it now attitude, and instant gratification is something that many of us want. We're seeking after instant gratification, and I'll talk about the cell phones, different technological devices, and computers, video games, TV, the advancement of technology, of having the newest toy. I mean, these are all materialistic things. We need to learn how to be content and satisfied with what we have. And who did I hear it from? I read it from a book. No, I heard it from Chris Wark, chrisbeatcancer.com, young man who, just did everything he could. He had stage 4 colon cancer at 19 years old, and he's a survivor. He beat it. He went against all of the mainstream medical dogma and cancer healing approaches, and did it himself and healed himself through the power of Yahweh, because he relied his hope in Yahweh. Now, he's a mainstream believer, but he does recognize the dietary laws and that there was a reason why Yahweh had told us not to eat certain things. And he saw that as a sign to help him heal cancer. If I want to get rid of this cell proliferation in my body and these bad cell divisions and tumors, then I need to quit eating barbecued pork. And I think he was from Tennessee or Kentucky, and so, and here in the South we got some excellent barbecue, but it goes beyond that. He just piled on nutrition. Anyway, I'm getting off point. My point on patience is sometimes when faced with an uphill battle such as stage 4 colon cancer, where you're deemed 6 months to live and you're 19, you're like, man, why me? And there's a great book out there by Dr. Bruce Lipton, stem cell biologist, called The Biology of Belief. And he goes into a lot of talk about hereditary genes and DNA and the one gene, one protein theory, and how it's more specifically the environmental protein, DNA, RNA message that it's our environment that chooses our genes to express on and off and how to react and what type of proteins each cell creates. And the message behind it is, yes, even your thoughts can make you sick. Your thoughts can be toxic. And what I'm getting at is, sometimes we want to have this clouded thought of negativity and complaining and always looking at the glass as half empty as opposed to half full. And we see circumstances around us, and we allow the circumstances around us to dictate our behavior and our moods. And really, we should respond to the circumstances around us because we control our moods. We control how we want to react and respond. We're in power of our attitude and in power of the way we operate. And I said this is going to be about patience, and I guess I'm kind of ranting on as this morning devotional goes. But in light of Chris' work, it's, he probably wanted his healing now, right then and there. He wanted to get rid of it. When you're faced with such a despair of giving so much time to live, you're going to do everything you can to get that healing and get everything eradicated. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about, because the instant gratification and our culture of wanting everything now. I remember in 2006 when the iPhone just first came out. I think it's 2006. These phones, there was a new phone maybe every other year, and then these other companies caught on to the technology and they're putting out their product lines and trying to keep up with the Joneses and whatnot. And now it's like you have the iPhone 10, and then 3 months later iPhone 11, and then 3 months later the iPhone 20 is out, and it's like, what in the world? Or the Samsung Galaxy Note 9, and then the Note 10, and then the Note 11, and you're already reading leaks on the Note 14, and it's like, what in the world? And you're wanting all these modern updates and these new toys and devices to have the best available. Same way with our cars and the houses and the smart technology, and don't even get me started on that. But I'm just trying to relate to you on how we become addicted to the instant gratification, because these scientists that are in these research labs, they know that it's a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is our pleasure hormone. They do it with food. Chemists and scientists in laboratories who create food do this in the labs, and they create things like ding dongs and Twinkies. They know it's addicting. Same thing in the stores. When you walk in a mall, they purposefully put the perfume in Macy's and Dillard's right there, so you smell it all, because what does it do? It creates that sensational pleasure by releasing dopamine to make you want to buy it and to put you in. It does something with your limbic system, your prefrontal cortex, to where it creates your emotional neurotransmitters to want this and have a desire for this, because it mimics our natural behavior of sex and the feel-good chemicals in our body that require us to produce to keep our kind human beings going. So food is a big one. Are we eating food because we need a caloric intake, because we're hungry, or we're eating food for the sake of pleasure, you know? And these scientists and chemists know this, and so with instant gratification, they understand that there's an addictive behavior behind smartphones, gambling, so they use these same techniques and tactics as gambling to draw you in, to trigger these events in your brain. Anyway, enough about all that. Y'all can go to Grassroots Healing or UpstreamVitality.com to learn more about all that stuff. What I always want to speak on is, let's get into the scripture, the word. Let's start our day with the word. Father Yahweh, we thank you for this day of preparation as we lead in to your Sabbath, as it dawns upon us at sunset tonight. And I just pray that all of those would worship and honor you, Father, and let your name and your Son Yeshua be glorified throughout this 24-hour period, that we may come to you and rest, all who are weary and burdened. And we just ask that you give us the strength to get by, and we ask that you would be with us and help us, and we thank you. Give us the strength and the encouragement and the boldness to get through our days, and we just also ask that you protect us from harm, sin, and evil. Help us guard our mind, our hearts, our eyes from the lustful things of the world, and help us teach our children your instructions, which last forever. And we thank you and pray this in Yeshua's name. Hallelujah. Sorry that took 11 and a half minutes to get to, but yeah, opening statements, they happen. I'll make sure to note that in the show notes. So Proverbs 14:29. I don't know what translation this is, because oftentimes when I'm in my dump truck cab, I have to just pull up these on the fly. So I just type in on the Google search box, as you probably can too, Bible verses about patience, and I try to look for the best one according to what I want to speak about. And you can never go wrong with Proverbs. Leave your thoughts in the comments about things that you think of. I'll read them and respond. Anyway, Proverbs 14:29 says, "Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly." So let's use me as an example, because I used to display quick temper. I never was able to exercise patience, and I still fail at that time to time. It's really hard. But the best thing to do is imagine a red light in your mind. There's a really good book by, I think his name is Dr. Daniel Coleman. It's called Emotional Intelligence. And he's also got another book called Primal Leadership. And he talks about using emotional feelings as your leverage, not for manipulation, but to gain a better understanding of people and to be able to communicate better through emotional intelligence. And I believe he's onto something there, but and you have to be careful, because yes, you can understand manipulation through using vulnerability and emotions in your favor against someone, and I think that's wrong. So it's the motive in your heart, and you know that better than I do. But to be able to be relatable and to connect with people better, we can use our emotions in times to help people. You know, we all have emotions. To be emotionless is just a bunch of crap to me, because everybody has emotions. You know, when you smile, you're displaying an emotion of maybe joy, happiness. When you smile, it releases endorphins. So if you're ever having a bad day, just smile, because it does make you feel better. Even when you're angry, do it. As dumb as it'll sound, it'll go against your thoughts. Your thoughts ain't going to want to do it. But remember, take your thoughts captive and become an observer of your thoughts. Observe what's going on. Do not become your thoughts, but rather observe your thoughts and realize that they're just fictitious stories, because fear will hinder your progress and your ultimate success. So I've never been one to display great understanding, but I was always one who had quick temper, especially in reaction to my children. But now I picture a stoplight in my mind where I see it go red, yellow, and green. See, the green light wants me to immediately respond and react to a situation. When I think about it 30 minutes later, I'll be like, was it necessary that I reacted that way? And no, it wasn't. So in my mind, I take that green light and change it to yellow, and that yellow light is me taking a deep breath. And then that red light is me stopping and analyzing and thinking in my mind how I want to respond to the action that just occurred, rather than me reacting to what just happened. Because I'm in control of my attitude, circumstances and reality don't dictate how I'm going to respond. I dictate how I'm going to respond. And believe me, the more you practice this, the more you'll gain a better control. And Proverbs 16:32 says, better a patient person than a warrior, one with self-control than one who takes a city. So we're going to go back and read these two chapters and see what the context around them is, because I hate cherry picking. Proverbs 14 and Proverbs 16. So let's go in there. And I had 1 Peter opened up this morning because I wanted to start there, but patience came to my mind instead. So let me read 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 1. Having put aside then all evil and all deceit and hypocrisies and envyings and evil words, all evil words, as newborn babes, desire the unadulterated milk of the word, in order that you grow by it. So let us be able to advance as we would in elementary school, from kindergarten to first grade, on up through middle school to sixth grade, on up through junior high to high school as a freshman. Let us do so in our spiritual maturity, so that way we can grow by the word and become mature in our walk to help others and raise up taught ones and disciples amongst all nations. Scroll down to Proverbs here. Proverbs 14, verse 1. Every wise woman has built her house, but the foolish breaks it down with her hands. He who walks in the straightness fears Yahweh, but he whose ways are crooked despises him, that is Yahweh. In the mouth of a fool is a rod of pride, but the lips of the wise guard them. When there are no oxen, the crib is clean, but from the strength of an ox comes much increase. A trustworthy witness does not lie, but a false witness breathes out lies. A scoffer shall seek wisdom, but find none. But knowledge is swift to him who has understanding. Leave the presence of a foolish man, for you shall not perceive the lips of knowledge. The wisdom of the clever is to understand his way, but the folly of fools is deceit or deception. The heart knows its own bitterness, and no stranger shares its joy. The house of the wrong is destroyed, but the tent of the straight flourishes. There is a way which seems right to a man, but in its end is the way of death. We must be very cognizant about that verse, because to many men out there today, there is a way that seems right, but its end is death. There's only one way that's right, and that way is through Yeshua and the way of the Father, for his way that he has instructed out his people to live. Even in laughter, the heart is in pain, and the end of that joy is heaviness. The backslider in heart is satisfied with his own ways, but a good man is satisfied from his. The simple believes every word, but the clever one watches his step. The wise fears and turns away from evil, but a fool rushes on and is reckless. He who is impatient acts foolishly, and a man who plans wickedness is hated. The simple shall inherit folly, but the clever are crowned with knowledge. The evil ones shall bow before the good, and the wrong ones at the gates of the righteous. The poor is hated even by his own neighbor, but the rich has many friends. He who despises his neighbor sins, but he who shows favor to the poor, oh, blessed is he. Do not those who plan evil go astray, but loving commitment and truth are those who plan good. In all labor there is profit, but talk of the lips only leads to poverty. The crown of the wise is their wealth. The folly of fools is folly. A true witness saves lives, but he who breathes out lies is a betrayer. In the fear of Yahweh is strong trust, and his children have a place of refuge. The fear of Yahweh is a fountain of life. Turn away from the snares of death. In a multitude of people is a sovereign's splendor, but in the lack of people is the ruin of a prince. He who is patient has great understanding, but he who is short of spirit exalts folly. So there was our verse, guys, and Yeah, we must understand these words of Solomon here, because they do produce great understanding, and we must be able to be chastised and open to constructive criticism, and also produce great patience as we're learning and growing. Because again, oftentimes we do see things that we want and we feel like we must have now. But is it really that necessary? Because there's a painstaking process called growth that we must go through. And if you can always foresee the bigger picture of what lies ahead and get yourself out of the distractions of the now attitude, it will help you along your way. I once listened to a guy on YouTube, and I forget his name. He seemed like a smart kid. He was an entrepreneur, and I forget who he learned by. I don't think it was Brian Tracy that came up with this model, but anyway, it was being able to take your 1 year, look at today, and say, where do I want to be in 1 year? And it's good to plan. Now, ultimately, do we know where we're going to be in 1 year? Not necessarily, but it's good to draw out a plan, because if we trust in Yahweh and live by the ways of Yahweh, and we have our plan that has Him centered at the focus, or has Him focused at the center, He might direct our steps and allowing what we have planned out come to pass. So if we take what we say, where do I want to be in a year, and it aligns with scriptural instruction and planning, and something that will be of good benefit and not of selfish gain, but be something that'll help others and allow us to be a servant, then what we plan out, we take that year, we break it down into the quarters, so the 4 quarters of the year. Then we take those quarters, they're 90 days, and we chunk them out into those 90-day chunks. And we start writing out our plan and our actions and our goals of what we can do within that 90 days. And you'll realize how more productive you'll come and get more accomplished, because you're writing out small planned details that will encompass a year's worth of time. And then you'll be able to look back and be like, man, I did all that within this year and got here now. So while the knowing how and the knowing the what can be cloudy and foggy and hard, understanding the why of what you do. There's a great book by Simon Sinek called Start With Why. If you can get people to buy in and believe your why, the how and the what will follow it, because people will see that and want to support you because of your passionate why. Meaning, why do I want to be a health coach? And why do I want to be a nutrition therapist and a true cellular detox practitioner and a Bible teacher and an encourager? Because in my heart, I want to help people feel their best in a world of modern epidemics and diseases where we've been beguiled and tricked into thinking that all this stuff that's around us is something normal, but really it's the spiritual warfare behind it that wants to cloud up our thought through fake food and get away from healthy living. Anyway, we must endure to the end in order to be rescued, and we must have great patience and the ability to discern and to foresee things that can happen, and be able to plan out also, so we can not be so caught up in the here and the now. And I just want to remind you of the scripture verse when the Messiah said, "Don't worry about tomorrow, for today has enough trouble of its own." Now, a lot of people might use that against me, but I just want to bear with me on this one. As I said, it's good to plan out, but I think what he's meaning there is, at the same time, don't get all caught up on the future and what you're trying to do because of today. So take your long-term goals and chunk them out to the daily tasks that will get you there, and just focus on what you have today, because it's when you allow all of that process and all that planning and the how-to and the what, it'll get you all caught up, and it'll take your sight to get your focus off of Yeshua and Yahweh and their plan. And you'll become so focused on yourself, on how to fulfill this. But if you just take each day one day at a time, put one foot in front of the other, and walk out your action plan, you'll be able to keep your focus centered and balanced. And that's the thing, is being able to find balance. So I know this devotional was kind of all over the place, but understand that patience, the old cliche, is a virtue. Patience is a virtue. But just understand that the scriptures speak about patience a whole lot. And that patience is something a man of understanding must have, and that the immature lack, and that we must help the immature to become mature. Be still before Yahweh and wait patiently for Him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. Psalms 37 verse 7. Wait for Yahweh. Be strong and take heart, and wait for Yahweh. There's so many throughout the Proverbs and the Psalms. But just remember to take a breath. Don't react to the circumstances around you and let those dictate your behavior or your actions. But be set apart in all that you do, in all of your behavior. And my friends, I hope you have a wonderful and blessed day. And thanks for tuning in with me on this morning devotional. And I pray that Yahweh may keep you and bless you and show His favor upon you. And the whole priestly blessing that I still butcher every time I try to say. But just know that if you're truly seeking Him and trying to seek to please Him and do as He says, He will be with you and He will not lead you astray. Submit to Yahweh and resist the enemy. And folks, have a wonderful day and have a great Shabbat if I don't hear from you. Take care.
You are Israel, my firstborn son. You are Israel,